Hey, I'm Dan Rosensweig, I'm Habitat's Executive Director, and I want to echo Gene in thanking everybody for coming today, sincerely. And even more importantly, I really want to thank you all, everybody in this room, for everything that you do each and every day to make Charlottesville a more equitable and just community. It's a better place because of you all. You know, Habitat, we feel so blessed to be able to work with the incredible families like the ones you saw in this film. So Sharon Sinclair, who was featured in the film, is here today. And I have to say, Sharon's beaming a little bit more brightly than normal. You see, since the film was produced, she's completed her sweat equity hours and selected a location for her new home. And just this week, we broke ground on her beautiful new Earthcraft certified home on Cleveland Avenue. You can see it up here. In the coming months, community volunteers are going to be stepping up to work side by side with her to swing a hammer and help her dream of home ownership come true. And sometime this fall, Sharon, her daughter Desiree, and her sister Shirley will receive the keys to their new home. And for the first time in their memory, they won't have to worry about where they're going to be sleeping next week, or whether the heat is going to work during the cold winter months, or whether Desi is going to have to change schools yet again. See, the hurdles Sharon has overcome would have made most of us quit long ago. They would have. But she never quit. You never quit, Sharon. You're such an incredible inspiration to us, and we're so honored to be able to call you partner. So thank you. Thank you for never giving up, and for inspiring us, and for teaching us what's possible if only we have the courage to meet our challenges head on. Thank you, Sharon. Gonna get emotional. But you know, it wasn't just Habitat that helped put the wind in Sharon's sails. So many of you in this room have been part of her success. From her housing counselors, her employers and friends, to Desi's teachers, and to those of you who support and run emergency shelters. You are all invited here today because together we constitute what we like to call a community of practice. All of us do different things, but our basic goals are the same: to support families like Sharon's. For some, this support comes in the shape of a home. For others, it's a job. And for some others, it's simply a hot meal on a cold day. At Habitat, we are convinced that to the extent that we don't see ourselves as rivals, but rather as partners working together to make Charlottesville a true land of opportunity, we'll begin to make progress, ensure both safe, decent, and affordable housing for all, as well as the support to live well in the homes that we build and rebuild. And that, my friends, is truly the hallmark of a world-class community. The pictures in the slideshow that you saw scrolling at the beginning of today's event highlighted some of the enormous challenges that we face collectively. And they focused on housing because we do believe that housing security is really the first step toward long-term self-sufficiency and prosperity, although we absolutely recognize that housing is but part of the equation. However, no one can dispute that when more than half of Charlottesville citizens are considered by HUD to be cost-burdened by housing, when 600 plus families are on the waiting list for public housing, which is supposed to be the housing of last resort, when more than 200 local children are considered homeless, and when people who work full-time at the University of Virginia can only afford a trailer without heat in Buckingham County, we have a serious problem that we all need to get serious about addressing. You know, but in the face of this crisis, we have had some notable successes. It's amazing. When I sat down to prepare these remarks, I was really struck by the totality of all the opportunities that we've been creating. And I'm embarrassed that I can't single out everybody. I couldn't possibly talk about all the transformative initiatives that this great community has worked together to produce. But I did want to single out a few representative examples of some moments of celebration that we've experienced over the past couple of years. For example, we all rejoiced when Virginia Supportive Housing cut the ribbon on the area's first single-room occupancy residence, the Crossings, providing a nice place to live for 30 chronically homeless men, step one on the road to employment and self-sufficiency. And we celebrated when the first seniors moved into Java's Timberlake Place. No longer would those neighbors of ours have to look up a steep flight of stairs and wonder how much longer they're going to be able to reach their bedrooms. And we felt a great sense of accomplishment when AHIP and Pinnacle Construction teamed up to build more than 80 comfortable, affordable rentals at Treesdale. And we were beyond excited when Southern Development proffered 7 affordable units as part of its newest development, Burnett Commons 2, The Woods. We felt great about all of this because we know that segregating by race, age, and income is crippling to our souls. We simply can't continue to build neighborhoods and rebuild cities as fortresses where only a certain income gets you in. And we all know that some of the incredible prospects we have as a community, or about some of the incredible prospects as a community we have on the horizon. The Piedmont Housing Alliance, our friends at PHA, have an opportunity at Friendship Court to redevelop along with the strategic investment area to make that section of town a great, diverse, hip, livable, and most important, inclusive place for existing residents and for new ones. And the Charlottesville Redevelopment and Housing Authority, our partners at CRHA, have a chance to work with residents to build on what's already good in their community, to enhance them with better quality housing and increased opportunities. And at Southwood, we all have a historic opportunity to work together to transform the area's largest single concentration of affordable housing. Trailers that won't last forever, unfortunately, and a failing infrastructure, into a beautiful new mixed-income, mixed-use development without displacing the residents who live there. Working together, we can help Southwood reach its potential and prove to the nation, watching us closely, that affordable housing can and must be at the heart of new developments. But I'd like to shift gears here a little bit. Although the focus of my remarks thus far have been on the what, and the slideshow has been on the what's the need, what have we built to begin to meet the need, what opportunities exist to address the local housing crisis, I'd like to shift because we've actually brought you here to focus on the how. How should we do it? How do we empower residents to have a voice in the redevelopment and eventual governance of their neighborhoods? How do we help them escape the tyranny of the now, that's a term that you'll hear more than once today, and provide some breathing room so that they can plan for the future? You see, the how is every bit as important as the what. At Southwood, our board established clear core values at the onset of our planning process that focused as much on the how as the what. So I'd like to take a moment to point out a few of these. We're committed to facilitating healthy housing choices for each current resident of the community. And given the local housing shortage, we believe Southwood can catalyze a significant increase in the inventory of affordable homes locally. And we're committed to an asset-based approach, to taking an asset-based community development approach. We call it the ABCDs of redevelopment. What does it mean to take an asset-based approach? That's kind of the central question in some ways of today. At its core, it means that we plan to rebuild largely based on what residents bring to the table rather than on what they lack. It means that redevelopment begins with helping our friends there take honest stock in the resources that they have individually and collectively. What's lacking is obvious, and it's pretty consistent in most low-income communities here and across the country. But what they have at Southwood is so much more compelling, so much more useful. Over the past 2 years, our amazing staff has conducted roughly 800 interviews, spending more than 1,600 hours face-to-face in frank conversations with Southwood residents. They've been hard conversations, some of them. But from those conversations, we've learned a lot about the fears and dreams in Southwood, about support systems that we didn't know existed, and about some gaps in those systems as well. But most importantly, we've been able to map out some very positive community characteristics, the things that we can build on. For example, we know that there's tremendous community identification and spirit. There's a rich diversity of culture at Southwood. There are unofficial support systems among neighbors and extended families, often within trailers and within pods within the neighborhood. And there's a culture of hard work and a tremendous number of entrepreneurs at Southwood. Those are things we can build on. As other community partners delve into their particular neighborhoods, at Friendship Court, West Haven, Mickey Drive, etc., they too are going to discover some of the things that make those communities unique. They'll find leadership, great people, social networks, creative approaches to resource sharing, things that can be built on, if only they're understood as important, if only they're recognized and valued and given room to grow. Let's not sugarcoat it. I don't want to be Pollyanna-ish up here. The challenges are immense at Southwood and elsewhere, and we all need help, and everybody in this room is going to have to work together. Southwood, Friendship Court, public housing, these projects are too big for any of us to do alone. But once we all start with the assumption that involving and engaging residents in the planning of their communities comes first, We give ourselves the ability to create great places, where longtime residents are embraced as the pillars of the community, and new neighbors are welcomed as if they've been there forever. There is no one right way to rebuild. There is no one right answer for what to build. But I can say with confidence that there are a few key ingredients regarding how to do it. The process has to be respectful of and empowering of existing residents. The new neighborhood has to be a product of partnerships, builders working with nonprofits, social service agencies, schools, government officials, and our wonderful local Boys and Girls Club, all of us working together. The end result has to be better housing, certainly, but the process of self-empowerment is equally important. As Habitat has built 3 mixed-income neighborhoods in the area, it's become increasingly obvious to us that the process of redevelopment, for it to be successful, has to result in residents acquiring increased tools for self-sufficiency and community governance. It's not just a pragmatic thing, it's the right thing. It's what makes the difference between inclusive, empowering redevelopment, something like Vinegar Hill, a project that frankly to many at the time seemed like a good idea, but a project that history has judged very poorly, and that all of us can agree left way too many behind. And that's where Ruby comes in. It's why you were all invited here to hear her speak. As a lifelong educator, Ruby decided about 20 years ago that she needed to more broadly share the insight she gained from working with people from different economic backgrounds. And since that time, she's been around the world, I think many times, working with community leaders, educators, social service providers, and nonprofits to help them be more effective in combating poverty in its many forms. Ruby is a true original, inspiring people globally to look more clearly and effectively at the causes and effects of generational poverty. And she's our muse. You are. Her seminal work, Bridges Out of Poverty, helped us see things differently. How to truly change lives, we needed to change our approach by understanding some of the subtle factors that tend to keep a family resource poor across generations. Bridges inspired the creation of a training program by Phil Wall called Getting Ahead in a Just Getting By World. These 16-session courses are transformative for families enmeshed in generational poverty who are too frequently so lost in the tyranny of the moment, there's that term again, that they need some help in honestly assessing their resources and creating future stories for themselves. With Ruby's guidance, we're now beginning a Getting Ahead journey at Southwood. Our goal there is to help more than 400 Southwood residents complete Getting Ahead training seminars so they can be more active leaders in the redevelopment of their community and more in control of their own destiny. One of the brilliant components of Getting Ahead is that you actually pay participants to take the training. Not only does this directly capitalize the community low in financial resources, but it affects a change in thinking among participants. It reinforces that they matter, that their time itself is valuable, because they are valuable. You see, it's this kind of transformation of theory, research, and observations into action that makes Ruby stand out from the crowd. It's why she's been so influential in helping so many under-resourced communities advance and reach their full potential. My friends, it is not enough to talk about eliminating poverty. We need to act on our good intentions, not by doing things for people, but rather by helping people achieve the skills and resources necessary to take proactive steps toward a more sustainable future for themselves and for their children. Obviously, I could go on and on singing Ruby's praises, but instead I'll simply ask you to join me in welcoming to Charlottesville our dear, dear friend, Dr. Ruby.